application in your packet. Do I hear a motion?
I move to appoint John G. Area Water District trustee.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Okay, calling for a vote, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, public hearings. So we have a liquor license for Edward Colburn doing business at Water Street Kitchen and Bar at 15 Water Street. So I believe we need a motion to enter a public hearing.
I move that we enter a public hearing for a liquor license for Edward E. Colburn doing business as Water Street Kitchen.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, now open the public hearing. First, any questions from the select board?
Comments?
Yes, public comment, go right ahead. If you could just state your name, that would be great.
My name is Blaine Soul. I live here in Wisconsin. I've been here since 2016. I'm here to support the police chief and his office.
Oh, I'm sorry, are you speaking?
I am here to support Chief Elderman and his police department, his office. Well,
I'm actually gonna just stop you there only because, the public hearing, this one is just for the liquor license for Water Street Kitchen. So if it's related to that, then great, if not, if you
it's
can.
related to the situation last Saturday night a week ago, the arrest.
Oh, okay.
That just needs to come up.
Chief,
Was that?
I spoke to the manager. I'm sorry, sir, I don't call your name.
That's okay.
I spoke to you last week about it.
Right.
So we're here, you want to speak here?
Oh, this is where I was.
We're here,
You
you
wanna
want
do
to
that?
speak.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was
Sorry.
mistaken.
No, I definitely wanna hear from you,
I
I just wanna make
apologize.
sure. Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Your plan.
All right, anyone from the public in terms of the liquor license for Water Street Kitchen?
Just a question, is these usually, you don't usually do a public hearing for the liquor license renewal, do you, every time?
Well, if they've gone 5 years with no complaints, then no.
Oh, it's not 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I will go ahead and close the public hearing. then.
I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, public hearing is closed at 6:08.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the liquor license for Edward D. Colburn, DBA Water Street Kitchen and Bar, located at 15 Water Street.
Second.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, calling for a vote, all those in favor? Nice, approved. Okay, now we're up to public hearing. Sir, the mic is yours.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So,
I spent 20 years of my life as a law enforcement officer. A long way away from here. But I am a law enforcement officer. Now, I'm aware of the situation with the arrest. Things didn't go exactly as they would like to have been. It caused a little bit of a problem. Not as fast Saturday before, I think. You have a very, very good police chief. You have some very good officers. You have a lot to be proud of. I learned over thousands of arrests, many of them DUI arrests. You always treat people like you want to be treated, as long as they're elected. That's what the chief is trying to do. Sometimes it's not gonna go like that. It's gonna come back and it's gonna bite you. And that's just the way it is. I made mistakes, not because I wanted to or intended to, but that's just how the thing went. That's just how it went. And that's what's gonna happen. you got all these people out here that wanna complain. You got all the lawyers in this country. There's always gonna be problems. So the chief was he was trying to treat man like a human being, and keep things down, smooth down and flat, and it just did not work out that way. The guy, what I understand, the subject got in here, got this call while the chief was searching back through the patrol car, and he took off. Luckily, thank God, it had a good ending to it. The other thing I'm gonna say is on Facebook, on the police department web page, it took a heck of an officer, good officer, and a very humble human being, very humble officer, man, to write what Chief Elton wrote on his blog or whatever that he put in there. And I was not just dissatisfied, but I was just about heartbroken by some of the what do you call it, comments. The comments that people put in there, negative stuff about it. I put one in there. It wasn't negative. I know, I've been there. I've done it. And then the next day it's gone. What I want to say is, I certainly hope, and I have not talked to the chief, but I'm not going to ask him, but I certainly hope that he was not told to take that webpage down. I hope he was not. But I think it was. I think it was a terrible misjudgment. That's what I've got to say.
Thank you very
And
much.
that comes from my experience, and that comes from my heart. The only other thing I'd say is, I wish I was about 25 years younger than I am, because I'd be honored to work for the chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Alright, any other public comments?
Hello, my name is Chris Reed, and what I would like to suggest is perhaps next year in the town warrant, celebrations account could be handled somewhat the same as local community organizations are, because now it's not defined what it goes to. You know, most people are under the impression that it goes to the 4th of July and Winter Festival, which we can't call Christmas anymore. And, you know, maybe there are other good uses for it, but I think that the townspeople should have a chance to vote on that. You know, much the same as the community organizations. You know, the library and the Legion and all the other ones under there. So that's just, I'd like to see that in the warrant next year. You know, have that broken down a little. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Thank you very much. All right. No department head or committee chair reports. No unfinished business, and that brings us to bid openings versus the sludge truck wastewater.
So, this bid is from Freightliner and Western Star of Westbrook, Maine. Freightliner has bid $120,276. $120,276. This bid is from Allegiant Trucks of Falmouth, Maine, and they have bid $113,045. 113045.
Dennis, before we get clarification, the Freightliner and Western Star, was it 220 or 120?
120.
It was 120.
This bid is from HP Fairfield in Skowhegan, Maine. And it looks like, disregard this, because it's not bidding all of them wrong. Does not meet the specifications. Bring it all over. It is from Daigle and Horton of Herman, and their bid is $114,350. Four bids that we got.
So we need a motion for the next action on.
Can I first ask, what was the budget that we voted for
We
this?
put $100,000 in, this was part of the overall sewer upgrade, so we included $100,000 in this. So, we have to look around, and see what we can do.
And who would you discuss this with Rob or with Ted?
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that the town manager and the public works director meet and award the lowest qualified bidder. for the contract.
Second.
Any other discussion, questions? Calling for a vote? All those in favor? Thank you. All right, next bid opening is for Bobcat 5600 for public works.
Yep, no bids were received.
Okay. The next one is for tree removal in the cemetery, Woodlawn, I believe.
So the first bid is from Squam Creek Arborists of Westport Island and Newcastle. And they have bid $15,400.
In order to ask a question about this particular bid, are these for dead trees or live trees?
They're from live, dead, dying trees. Some of them are alive, but they're in really bad shape. Some of them are just dead.
Okay, thank you.
The second bid is from Cox Tree Service in Pittsburgh, and their bid is $26,000.
And how much did we budget for this?
We estimated 20,000.
Okay. That's it for that one?
That's it.
Yes,
I
yes.
move that we authorize the town manager to award the bid to the lowest bidder.
Any other seconds? Okay, any other questions, discussion? Calling for a vote, all those in favor? Alright. And the final one is for the wastewater.
One bid. This bid is from machinery service right here in Wiscasset. And the bid is for $298,500. Which is way more than what we had to spend. At least before, probably
Was that the, I'm sorry, but you had given that, I apologize.
I was just gonna say, 298,500.
$298,500.
Is that for all of the generator, we were gonna get multiple generators for each pump site?
Yes.
Because right now, we operate with one that will run around.
We have to find
Oh, four of them.
Okay.
And we don't have, you recall, we've been through this already. We had 100,000 to spend, we put an additional 75 in the budget this year, so we're still considerably under what we got. We probably don't have to sell it, we're trying to buy what we can with the money we have and try to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we just got like 3. It would be better than the one portable that we have, right? I don't know what the motion would be.
So would you like the motion to be to authorize the town manager to negotiate the purchase of the number of generators we can with the money loaded?
Does he have to do it with the sewer? Do you have to do it with the director of the sewer?
Yes,
system?
no problem.
Yeah.
With Rob, sorry, Rob.
Okay, so that's the motion.
That's the motion.
Don't ask
Authorize
me
the
to
town
repeat.
manager and Rob
Don't ask.
Riley, the department head of the as well.
Do I hear a second? Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, all those in favor? Okay, 11B, use of town property requests. The first one is for Scout Hall use from Mary Meeting Adult Education.
Pretty self-explanatory.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Why aren't they using the school?
That was my question.
So-
Yeah, like that would be the norm.
I anticipated that question. Dwayne's here.
They reached out to me a couple years ago, it was actually before COVID hit. They were looking for additional space compared to what they were using at the schools. I do not have a whole lot of space to give on a regular basis because I already have a number of programs that are going. And over COVID, we looked at the Scout Hall as an additional space in town that could be used for certain things. They came to us and they said, you know, because they're nonprofit, they're not for profit. They said, well, maybe we could trade advertising for the facility, the rec facility, the community center, in exchange for the use of the Scout Hall.
Yeah. So, do we still close down the Scout Hall over the winters?
We have if it's not being used.
Right. So
Depends
is there-
depends if the scouts have been using it.
Right.
That's my understanding.
So it's already being heated and all that, because I was just wondering how much.
Unless the scouts have been using it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just wondering if it was gonna be an added expense. You would,
No, I wouldn't do it if it's an added expense.
Okay.
I'd find a different space.
okay.
But if this space works out and they're looking to have a driver ed class
Yeah.
in there. So, I mean, it would be, that's what it would be. It's not a lot of people, it's one class. I don't know how often they do it, but, yeah.
Do the driver ed programs usually pay for like a school space?
I have no idea.
That was my one question.
I know that there's another program running driver's ed at the school, but I'm not sure why that would make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, would it be about competition?
They're paid, you guys probably have the copies of the emails. What I was working on was basically, it was just a kind of a wash. I would be able to advertise in their pamphlet that goes out to the whole mid-coast area. exchange for the space.
Yeah,
And
Dennis?
just to clarify, we shut the Scout Hall down last year. But most of them are
Yeah, I knew that had been done in previous years as well, but except, you know, it's on and off, on and off. So I just didn't want to, I just wanted to know when we open it, only for this one group.
Sounds like no.
Yeah, it sounds like,
Thank you, Joanne.
Yep.
so, I would make the motion to, approve the Scout Hall use request for Mary Mead Adult Education.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Calling for a vote, all those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. And the second one is for the town common, the First Congregational Church for Summerfest. Yeah.
I would move to approve the First Congregational Church Summerfest.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Dwayne?
Dates?
It's the 24th of July.
July 24th?
Yep.
10 to 2.
Fun.
Calling for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? As deacon, so I don't think I can.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Temporary business licenses. Michael Costigan doing business as Costigan Forest LLC, 262 Bath Road. This is 11C. I had a question. Is this just a truck or an actual location?
So the location is on the corner of Birch Point Road and Route 1.
Yeah.
The gentleman's gonna put kind of like one of the pier shacks in there and sell this stuff. He's already gotten a permit from Bruce to do that part of it.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Discussion? Okay. Calling for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Resignations, unfortunately, of Judy Flanagan and David Sawyer from the cemetery committee.
I move to approve, to accept the resignations of Judy Flanagan and David Sawyer.
We have with regret.
Yeah. Is there a second? If we don't approve, do they have to stay on? All right. Yes, with much regret. All right, calling for a vote. All those in favor? I know. Okay, and now we need to appoint a new board liaison for the cemetery committee because Pam has too many Monday conflicts. I wanted to nominate myself. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was going to nominate myself, but you may certainly overrule that.
What do we do with this? We don't actually vote on it.
What's at the pleasure of the chair?
You actually make a nomination and then it needs a second. I nominate Sarah Whitfield for liaison to the cemetery.
I second it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Want to fight about the cemetery? We do that.
Yeah. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, you're down to 11F, request for funds from Schooner Fest Committee. Peter, did you want to speak to this first?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Peter Wells from the Schooner Fest Committee. Brief history, this is our 20-month phase of planning. We started off back in 2019 and then COVID hit, but we've been meeting monthly or bi-monthly to create a festival to honor our heritage. At first, it started off with models for Luther Little and Hesper that were going to be located on the sidewalks on each side of Main Street. Since then, we've grown considerably to bands on the common, recreation pier, sunken garden, food trucks, many kids' activities in conjunction with working with Parks and Rec, who is our public-private working relationship with. We have geocaching, we have schooners on the Sheepscot, large schooners will be sailing in. We're going to have boat parades, cannon salutes, ending with a triathlon. Wisconsin's first triathlon that Dwayne and Parks and Rec are going to be coordinating. With that, our budget has grown considerably. We used to have a small budget of basically nothing. When I first met with you, it was nothing because these artists were going to create these schooners for free. Now it's up to close to $25,000. And up until about 2.5, 3 months ago, we weren't sure if we were going to hold Schooner Fest because of COVID. Once we heard that COVID restrictions were reduced, we could get out the word, and that's when we really started hitting the streets to look for sponsorship. Unfortunately, it was a little late. Most companies have budgets for sponsorship, and most of them had spent most of their money for that. So we're limited. Most of them were interested in sponsoring if we can get to them early enough next year, if this continues to go on. So that kind of hit us hard, and we've been working diligently ever since. So it's been somewhat of an uphill battle as far as that. On June 30th, we did send in a request for funds of $12,000 from the celebration. Since that time, we received 2 substantial donations, bringing our income level to about $12,500. So we're halfway there. When I submitted the request, we were only at about $7,500. David Pope is with me. He's on our committee handling entertainment and so forth. If you want to say anything, David?
Yeah, just a couple of words. You done, or are you going to stand there?
I'm the senator.
Okay. David Pope, and I used to teach. I'm from Federal Street, and I'm on the music, chair of the music committee, subcommittee. And I used to teach over at Lincoln Academy. I know that's a sin here, but we used to have track meets, and I was thinking on the way over here, I used to manage track meets that had like 20 events, and we started after school, got done by 6:30, and we had boys and girls. It was just these huge events, and it kind of feels like this is what Schooner Fest is turning into. It's a large organization, and we've got to have the starters, all that stuff. And so it's turning into a real big fun event. Starting Wednesday afternoon with things in the park, with music in the park. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, at least 2 or 3 bands every day on the common and on the pier stage, which we're getting great help from Dwayne's end on making these stages. It's really big, and these bands, they need to get paid, and so that's what we're asking for some assistance from. I did speak with Buzz Pinkham, who invented Pumpkin Fest, and I think that's why everything has a fest on it around here. And so he started, and he told me that when they started off asking people for $300 to sponsor a pumpkin, the town, the sponsors, the businesses looked at it and said, $300 for a pumpkin? It was just like a different world. And so he said, since then, it's grown back to where they are giving back to the town major donations. He didn't tell me how much it is. I presume you could find out. But we're hoping that we get this thing off the ground and running in years to come. It's going to come back and really uplift the town. It's going to put us back on the map. They have taken over the 3 places in Lincoln County to visit. Used to include Wiscasset. We're not there anymore. And so we'd like to put it back there.
And as I mentioned before, we've been working with Parks and Rec throughout this whole process. Dwayne and his staff have been wonderful as far as giving us ideas, offering their creativity as far as involving the kids, the triathlon. So it's really a public-private partnership, and has been throughout this process. So that I think that's important to remember. And the amount that we're asking for, we didn't really know what the town could do, or whether or not it could be part of the celebration fund or not. So we're just asking for some assistance. As David mentioned, eventually this is going to be a festival that will generate more funds than needed. So we hope that will happen sooner than later. Next year we'll have a lot of information to be able to sell the festival. Little pictures and video from what happens this year, to be able to show sponsors that there is marketing, there's a lot of stuff that we can do to help the businesses out. So it's the start of something we think can be big for Wiscasset and put us back on the map and have some fun. We're done.
Go ahead, Tom, did you have something?
Do you want to go first?
Oh, okay, I had a couple of questions and also a couple of comments. I'm really impressed with the work that the Swing Festival group has done. The town of Wiscasset is already going to be increasing police presence, ambulance presence, fire presence, public works doing cleanups and traffic management all over the place. We know water being used through our system, the sewer systems and everything else. That's going to be a huge expense to the town of Wiscasset. Probably, would you guesstimate 15,000 maybe?
I haven't tried to figure it out.
It's going to be a lot of money that it will cost the town of Wiscasset. So that's one thing, that whether the town would normally be billing people for that. It would not be a donation, it would be even be billed for that. The other thing is, so that was one comment. My other comment is I've been approached by several people in town, and I wasn't even at work last week, and I've been approached by several people in town that pointed out to me that they voted money for celebrations. They voted for fireworks and a parade and Christmas tree lightings. They are not happy with the people that have talked to me, and I know are not happy with the thought of donating tax funds that we could use to offset taxes from the undesignated fund balance, instead of using it to offset taxes that we would be spending it to a private organization, a private group that are building this festival. So that's what I've gotten in just the last 2 weeks, and I've gotten a lot of it. So that's
Kim?
Several years ago, I was in Damerscott. Oh gosh, I guess my son was probably 2 or 3. Maybe I was pregnant with Linnea. I was going to Rennie's, and it was a rainy day. And I got out of my car in the municipal parking lot, and I saw a little crowd of people over by the water. And so I was like, I wonder what that's about. So I looked. I took my son over to the water to see what it was. There were 2 pumpkins in the water that had been carved out, and they were boats. And there were guides in them paddling, and that was it. There were 2 pumpkins. There were no signs. There was no sponsors. There was no anything. But that was the very first pumpkin fest. It didn't was just this funny stunt. And that's where it started, and the momentum built from there. They didn't plan a big event with committees and marketing, plan for over a year. Like before COVID started, you guys were talking about Schooner Fest, and I love the idea. But I feel like, I wish that this had gone before the voters to vote on, and I support the idea of Schooner Fest, but I feel like it is, you know, I'm not sure what, it's like you made this big plan without actually asking the town first, right? There were many meetings, and then once in a while there would be a little update, but it wasn't really a public-private partnership until it started to get big.
Well,
I've been on the board, and I recall that there was some talk, but we wouldn't put it in the budget. I guess is what I'm saying, and so it didn't go on the warrant. And while we have unspent funds from last year, I have to say that the people in town voted to spend that money on fireworks and the tree lighting. And I do support Schooner Fest, but I just feel like it's when my kids come to me and they've already laid out a bunch of commitments, and then I need to write a check. I hate that. You know, I just feel like, okay, ask me first. Those are my thoughts. And I really do love the idea of Schooner Fest. I want to see the holograms. I want to see the boats. But this, you know, was do now, ask for permission later, is how it feels.
sure, can I respond to that?
Sure.
Yeah, we're not really asking permission, and we did come before the board February 2020 with our ideas. At that point, that was our 4th month of meetings, but we had ideas that we could present. And we did get approval from the select board to move on with Schooner Fest. They approved the idea, so we did get approval for the Schooner.
Not this, though. Like,
No,
there wasn't a $25,000 budget.
I agree, budget we did not.
Right,
I'm talking about
that's
the
big.
idea of Schooner Fest.
Love the idea.
Budget was not mentioned at all,
Don't let-
and I understand, it wasn't part of the whole process. We didn't realize it was gonna be this big, and that our budget was gonna be that amount. At first, we could afford it, and so, I understand what you're saying, we're coming in after the fact. So
Yeah, and you've raised enough money that you could do the cool thing, right? That you guys have enough money, you could put the schooners on the sheepstock. And then that would be like a lot bigger than those 3 pumpkins that I saw all those years ago, that now we have a huge festival. But there's been a lot of efforts made and a lot of things in this town that have amounted to nothing. And I would hate to see us throw a lot of money that we haven't gotten approval from our people spend on something. It just doesn't feel right to me. But I love the idea. It's not my money to spend.
Sure.
Any other select board before we go to public? Okay, anyone from public, Steve?
Good evening, Steve Christensen. I just want to point out that what Peter just said on February 20th, February, whatever it was, 2020, I think it also, in that, go back and look at those notes and those minutes, and I also think that there's a statement in that came from the committee that says, at no cost to the town. So, that wasn't just mentioned, but that was, you know, I believe that that's in there. So, again, you know, I agree wholeheartedly with what Kim has just said, you know, and I'm not gonna rehash that, but I just want to point out that that one statement was in there at no cost, you know, so. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Judy? Yes, you do. There's no mic.
No, we have one, we just didn't get it to work.
Thank you, Steve. He said not real. I just want to say that I tend to agree with things you have said. That makes sense. And I even kind of like the idea of maybe just doing some schooners this year. been negative tonight about it, but so often there are such wonderful things that people come up with ideas for this town. I have always said, every time I ran, I said, Wiscasset has so much potential. And we do. We get that waterfront fixed. Wow. This may help towards that. But I would like to see a lot of, wow, sounds wonderful. And maybe not this year, maybe, another year. But what message that generally is sent to people that come forward is, we don't want to spend money, we can't spend money. And that is frustrating for those people that conjure up wonderful things. We have a lady here tonight that got the art walk going. Wonderful. So I just think, as you make your decision, and I understand what's been said, and I've been up there, and you have to make tough decisions, but please remember to be inspired and supportive of what can be done.
Thank you. Kim?
I just want to say that it is amazing. I just want to ask the people in the town to vote to approve it, and I only wish that you'd come back in February 2021 or March or April before we printed the warrant, because we just voted, like we just had our election. I think it's a wonderful idea. I just wish that we had asked the people to pony up the money. Instead of us, now we're in this position where we have to decide to take money that people said they wanted to spend on fireworks and spend it on something else.
Yeah, it's just that we didn't know we were gonna have the Schooner Fest, actually have it until the end of April. So it was timing. We couldn't come out and say, we are gonna have the Schooner Fest. We have too many COVID restrictions at the time. That's why we didn't come forward and ask for money for this year.
Like the way we did with the fireworks, though. Like, we don't have to go back and forth, but like, we raised money for fireworks without knowing that we were gonna get the ammo.
We also didn't know our budget at that point, and it just grew so fast.
Yeah.
Keeps hanging out.
Yeah, is that Lucia's hand?
Yes,
Eric?
yes. Lucia Droby and I coordinate the Art Walk and Market Fest, and I really don't have anything new to talk about, but I'm here to support the idea of community activities and festivals and activities that pull the community together. And so the Art Walk and Holiday Market Fest, I think, are modest activities, and we speak to the community, and I think we provide a platform for communities, community people and tourists to come together. And the potential for Schooner Fest is that it can be much bigger than that and really draw people from distances. It's not my place to speak about the money and the process, but I just want to put out there that I think Wiscasset is just such a wonderful platform for doing exciting activities like this.
Justin?
I just wanted to say that all the arguments that are being made, or all the points that are being made are excellent points. Perhaps some of them are excellent for next year. I think this town and this board wants to support this festival. How we begin the relationship is important. So this is a lot of money to ask, and the points that have been made about that are very valid. I think. So just wanted to leave that out there.
Can I ask Dennis a question?
Yes.
The last time we talked about this, we talked about would we be able to vote to do something with with this portion of the unspent, thank you, undesignated fund balance. Is that something that we are able to do?
So the voters give you authorization every year to carry over unspent funds from the department.
Yeah.
So that would have to happen. Vote to do that first. So, one, there isn't $12,000 in the budget. There was $12,000 budgeted. But we did still have the veterans flags that had to be paid for out of that. And this budget, this year's budget had $8,400 in it for fireworks. It's going to be $9,500. So we're gonna have to carry over 1,100 payways to make sure that we have this year's. So there's $8,687 left in this account.
8683.
8687. I did check with MMA on this. They didn't say you couldn't do it, but they did say because it's, as Mr. Reed already pointed out, this is commonly voted. I think I said this in the last meeting. People commonly know this is what they're voting for when they vote for this budget. And I think you can find some very unhappy voters if you start down this path where you start giving up money for something that they didn't intend for it to be used for.
So just a couple things, and I'll go back. One, I think if this is successful, I would love for us to actually budget for this next year. I think it seems like most people are feeling that way. And I do agree with Chris that it is, I actually went back and looked at the warrant today, and it doesn't specify it, even though it does for community organizations. So I think moving forward, that's certainly something that we should look into doing. I am hesitant because of the issue of the voters didn't vote to do this. I am very supportive of Schooner Fest in general, and I think to Judy's point, that I had also heard that in terms of people coming with ideas were kind of getting shot down. And I just want to put out there that you're going to find that I'm always going to ask tons of questions, even if it's the most brilliant idea in the world. So I just want people to know that, in the sense that it's not a negative reaction. It's just, I want to make sure we're doing our due diligence, because there are so many things that you can get caught and have consequences later, and I just don't want us to get into that area. So I just want you to know that any question, know everything about it. So that being said, I know we do have to have a special town meeting, and we need to do that relatively soon.
Probably have to be next month.
How early could that be?
Like, could we do it Thursday? No, what do you
Special-
need, like 17
A
days?
special town meeting requires a minimum of 7 days notice.
Oh, yeah, Pam, you.
Yeah, before we go doing that, I do want to remind everyone also about the undesignated fund balance, that the board usually votes to take a portion of that every year to offset taxes. So the target for the town of Wiscasset with our budget, the target for us to keep in undesignated fund balance would be between 1.6 and 1.8 million dollars. You would want to have that balance stay there at all times for the next fiscal year. And what is our undesignated fund balance?
We haven't gotten our audit this year, but last year it was $479,000.
Yeah, nowhere near the 1.8 million. And if we keep spending it, it's never going to get there. We're no longer eligible for tax anticipation notes. So that's no way to borrow money for the town to borrow money to pay our bills before taxes come in. That's what an undesignated tax fund is for. So we can't get loans to pay our bills while we're waiting for taxes. And we don't have enough money in the undesignated fund balance to cover it. So before we give it away, I think we need to really consider where are you going to pay your bills next year?
Do we have any sense of what our balance is?
I do, but I don't want to put out publicly.
Yeah.
We still have those guys.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that, last year when you first came back on the board, Jeff and I were like, no, we said we were going to take these undesignated fund balance and apply it to the taxes. And you very clearly stated that this board was under no obligations to keep any promises of the past. And so, whatever, we have plenty of money in our reserve accounts. I'm not very worried about an undesignated fund balance. And I do want to have a public meeting if we can, as soon as possible. If it's next week, I don't know. Maybe we can at least come up with ask the taxpayers if they would vote for $8,687.
Yeah, I guess that's my thought, is that I would feel better about this if the voters were actually approving the amount. I realize that's cutting it close on time. And I should also let people know that I can't vote either way on this because I am on the Wisconsin Creative Alliance board, so just wanted to, yeah.
And neither can I, because I'm on the steering committee for the Skinner Fest, and so I'm recusing myself.
So, and what would be the amount they're actually asking? It'd probably be 7 because they received 5, and so they're no longer asking 12, is that what you're saying?
You have 12.5 now, is that what you said, Peter?
Yes.
So, I don't think he meant 20 less. He meant it was closer.
But he still wants 12,000 even though they just received some large donations? It doesn't make any sense.
Could you just clarify the amount that you guys were asking for? Was it 12,000 or was it reduced to 7,000?
It was 12,000 during our initial request. Since then, we've gotten 2 substantial donations, so we're at our halfway mark now. So any amount we can go.
Okay. So,
It would have to be limited to what's going to celebration.
yep, correct. Okay.
Yes, Steve?
Now, if we use up the rest of that money, will that take away Christmas lighting money and all?
We haven't gotten into this yet. This is not till October.
Yeah.
All right, good.
It's the 2020 money we never spent.
All right, thank you.
I guess one thing I was thinking about is, if it would make sense to go at the $5,000 level with approval of the voters. I know that sounds random, but I'm thinking in the terms of the 8,000 whatever is close to what we budget for our fireworks. And that's one of our big, huge things. And so I feel like it probably shouldn't be at that level. Yes.
Is there, if we're dwindling down to 5,000, is there any other place, Dennis, where we could, do we have control over $5,000 that we could spend without going to voters and do it and feel good about it, the choice?
You have your contingency account, but I don't recommend. Contingencies for unanticipated expenses, and I don't consider.
This is unanticipated.
I'm not comfortable doing that in July.
That's fine.
All right. Any other comments from the board or the public? Or Dennis? Would someone like to make a motion?
I mean, do I make a motion to have a special town meeting?
I mean, we're gonna have one anyway, but.
You have to have one anyway. Peter, what is your time frame on actually needing these funds?
I don't think we would actually need it for during the festival itself. We could obtain the funds afterwards by being creative with our juggling, so to speak. I'm not sure how the funds would come to us, or if we have to submit invoices, or how that works. I've never done this. So it's something we could talk about, I guess. So
I think
hopefully prior to the actual event would be great. But I think we could be creative, and if we got the funds even after the event, we could use them for things that we spent this year.
So if townspeople voted to approve it, the town would cut them a check.
So my reason for asking is that I had my thoughts on the special town meeting that we needed anyways, on August 17th. I hadn't planned on bringing it up.
What's the other one that we needed anyways?
Well, we still have to have discussions about the SRO and cruiser field. There's ordinances that need to be voted on. I can't remember some of the there's other stuff on, but we have to draft up a warrant,
So
so.
that is our regular select
So my thought was to do it on the same night as the regular select meeting, in front of the select, because it wasn't going to be all that much stuff on it. So, 17th, your August meetings are very exciting.
Some of our larger expenses don't have to be actually transferred over until Schooner Fest actually happens. So the 17th would definitely work for us.
Okay, the danger of that is if it gets voted down, then what are we going to do?
Big Sam.
It's gonna happen no matter what, so don't worry.
So I guess I just need a decision from you guys that you want to put this on the special town meeting, and then we'll, at a future, probably August 3rd, we'll have one ready.
So I'd like to move to add the Schooner Fest budget amount of $7,000 be added to the special town meeting on August 17th.
Just curious why 7?
Isn't that the different, Pam, did you say they needed 7?
That was when I did the math on the.
12,000
7.
minus 4.
Somebody else said 5, so I don't know.
Do we need to specify amount, or can we determine that?
You have to specify.
Well, I don't know that you need to specify it tonight, we'll have to specify it at the time of the warrant.
Okay, so let me restate that. I'd
Because
like-
you're still fundraising, right?
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion that we add Schooner Fest funding to the special town meeting on August 17th.
And we can set the amount that you want.
Okay.
So we have a motion,
We have a second.
Yes, I think.
second. Any further discussion? Dusty seconded. All right. Calling for a vote, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
Does that work?
It fails. Motion fails. You have to have 3.
Man, motion.
Like, you don't want to look at taxpayers?
Where's my parliamentarian?
Vote was 2.
2, 1, 2.
It failed.
It fails, right,
You needed 3. Right.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Terry?
Can this question be, can this vote be revisited at the next board meeting?
Put anything on the agenda you want.
Thank you.
Are you gonna go resign from Schooner Fest committee?
I just wanted to get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should do that.
Thank you, yeah, Ed?
I guess, Ed Paul Barczyk, yes, I guess one thing that we need to keep in mind, I'm hoping this is a great event. The town of Wiscasset will have to contribute EMS and police, et cetera. And it wasn't all that long ago where we had a rock fest up here at the Speedway. And suddenly the population in town went from 3,000 to close to 12. And it was a big job for the town to handle. So my concern is public safety. We need to keep that in mind, and whatever happens with the Schooner Fest, I'm hoping it's a great success. But we need to be able to support them with our facilities as they need. Thank you.
In terms of Schooner Fest in general, Peter, would you be able to come back to us with any updated plans in terms of parking and all that stuff, and also the formal request for town property?
Sure.
Because I just want to get that checked off.
Yeah, I got that request from Dennis, and we didn't realize the process. So, for sure.
Yeah, I have a written agreement all drafted.
Okay.
Can you have this for the 20th?
Yes.
Okay. So I expect we'll revisit this next time. And if you could also, if you don't mind keeping us up to date on fundraising.
All right. I will.
Thank you.
You have your checkbook tonight?
Left it at home. All right, thank you, everyone, I really appreciate your coming, and letting us know how you feel. All right, on to 11G, recommitment of taxes.
So for those of you who might not wish to, taxes were committed to Molly Bonang to collect, and she is no longer the tax collector, she is moved to another position. So these need to be recommitted to the current tax collector so that she can continue to collect. Kind of just a formality, Well, when they're committed to the tax collector. And so Sue is the tax collector, so we need to recommit them.
So you need a motion to commit
Yeah,
the tax
so-
to the
Yeah,
tax.
we do. Molly said she thinks you guys could just sign it. I don't think so. I don't think the motion can vote on it, so.
I move that we commit our taxes to our tax collector as received from No, I move to recommit our taxes back to the tax collector.
I would make it a little more specific when you said.
Sue Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, tax collector Sue Anderson. We just think that positions change hands and we just work with things.
Because they are being committed to her, not to the tax collector.
Okay.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion, questions, board, Ed?
I guess I just wanted to point out for everybody that this was $422,000 of uncollected taxes, which is kind of a huge amount to me. That's probably $1 million on our tax rate. And people are not paying those taxes, so the rest of us end up making up for that. And I think we need to try to do the best we can to collect that $422,000.
So at 407,904 of that is just this year's taxes that haven't quite reached the point of going to leave yet. And most everything else beyond here is personal property tax. It's just a little bit harder to collect than real estate tax.
All right. So calling for a vote from the board, all those in favor? Yes. Town managers report. Anything you want to add?
Any questions? Nope.
No.
All right, other board business, just wanted to remind people that we do have a workshop on Thursday at 6 p.m. here. And board members, the ask I have of you is if you want to bring any ordinances you think we need to be changed, updated, removed, whatever, that is one of the agenda items to talk about so that we can give the ordinance review committee another list of assignments, so.
Don't hit us. Don't hit us.
All right, any other board business? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? All right, 7:09.
The cemetery committee is actually meeting on the 12th. So I'm not sure why I didn't make it. It's their agreement.
And overseas not being, right?
Because he was supposed to be out on the floor, so we put it back to the 12th. 12th.
Yeah, overseas not doing anymore.
Good, so it'll be a place for us to meet.
Well, what time do you normally meet?
I think we meet.
Okay, it's 5 hours, we got planning board.
Well, yeah, so I know that you put it in front of the tower. I think that's what What's that?
Yeah, stay far.
Yeah, we're gonna do 5 board schedule.
So the ORC's not meeting.
Correct. 5 p.m.
Because he, always just put up the library. I can't put it.
Yeah, so we're working, so we're started working.
Yes. You're gonna go nine, Secretary's nine.
Whether they want to do it or not. We did pass an article this past year that allows them to fund any budget that's big.
Most people feel better.
So that's the intent.
Excellent, how you doing, Sarah? Good to see you. Good. A little grandchildren now.
No, I actually saw Jill Bennett, Water Street the other day.
How are you doing?
Probably on,
Crazy year, even besides the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
we only need 7 days.
How's your parents doing?
Really good, yeah. They're feeling better now that they can actually travel again. Because my dad's going through that, so it's been his problem. They just got back from high school. That was their first time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great place.
Yeah, they're good. My mom, so they're both retired now.
Yeah.
And my mom's got a small greenhouse in the back. So that's her baby.
That's a she shed.
Exactly. Yeah, they're good.
Nice.
Every citizen is the whole world. I really appreciate when people come and no matter what they're talking about. I appreciate the participation, you know, because so many people just stay home, they don't say anything, and then find out later.
I might show up and see, I worked in food for the past 15 years.
I was surprised when you said it.
But no, I totally agree with you. I think we need to be more specific on not just our babies. Because we are specific.
Just doing a trial.
I mean, those warrants are recycled.
Yeah, it's not like it's $300, you know.
Right.
Real money.
Exactly.
People don't get it, you know.
Right.